Thank you for staying with us. Time now for the news review. And I have, first of all, my in-house guest. She's not doing Mary Poppins this morning. She's popping, but not doing Mary Poppins. Sweetie Abochi is here. We also have former president of the Ghana Journalists Association. I'm talking about Afil Boni. He doesn't like me to mention that first name, so I nearly became mischievous and mentioned it. Yeah. You look good in lavender.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought it was lilac.
Thank you so much.
It's a very good color on you.
You just might be, well, lavender and lilac. Now you've got me thinking.
It's lilac, isn't it?
Is it lilac or lavender? This looks
totally
like lavender.
industries when it comes to colors.
Yeah. Oh, Ben has that. He's really good with colors.
Okay.
Yeah. But you're welcome.
Thank you.
What's on your mind this morning? I'm eager to hear.
I think the Supreme Court ruling stating the declaration by the Speaker of Parliament that the 4 seats were vacant belongs to history. But the landmark ruling still strikes cause of commendation and condemnation. Commendation in the sense that it has brought finality to this issue, and people can now heave a sigh of relief.
Has it though? Has it brought finality to the issue?
Legally speaking, yes, but practically speaking, we have a long way to go. The clouds are still ominous, and the implications can be impious, to say the least. So there's a need for both sides. There's a need for cool heads. There's a need for apostles and evangelists of democracy, people who have the interests of the nation at heart, to bring the two sides together to chart a peaceful way forward. In 1992, when we as a nation collectively abandoned the bullet course and embraced the ballot box as means of electing our leaders, we were also bound by a common strand woven around the desire to ensure that democracy works. So democracy is not a destination. Democracy is a work in progress. It's a process. So we need to get together, approach the minority. From the look of things, they have something on their minds which can make the work of Parliament unpalatable.
Well, that's something I believe.
If not unworkable.
Roxanne Nelson, one of the things he mentioned the last time, I think it was 2 days ago, when he came on the show, 2 days ago. And he said, you remember the case of Sarah Adwa-Safo?
Yeah.
Should we call them the Three Musketeers? Sarah Adwa, and respectfully, I'm just being, jovial. Sarah Adwa-Safo, Henry Quartey, the former Greater Accra Regional Minister, who is now Minister for the Interior, and Kennedy Ejapong, and absenteeism on 15 occasions, and what could have been triggered. The last time Roxanne was here, and I told him, look, are we going to do a political tit for tat? Okay, we think you did this here, and maybe the system did this there, so we're also going to trigger this in this place. What basically he's saying is, the committee put out a decision, at least on Sarah Adwa-Safo. The thinking is that they will then want to follow through on that process, which means they could oust those 3 MPs and who would have to vacate their seats, which also means there's not enough time for a by-election.
Yeah, sure.
By the rules.
By the rules, yeah.
So it means if they went that way, by a simple majority, they could get that done. That is, if they get the simple majority in Parliament. And I think it's, if it goes that way, then it will just get uglier and uglier,
Nastier. So
But I also see why, while I think it's not the right move, right? Because it will simply engender more rancor. I feel they have also come to this point because they feel the system is being manipulated against them. You see,
talking about,
I feel.
Okay, well, when we are done, there's an interesting photo here. I get the meaning based on the information I have from what they've done here, but I'm sure when you look at it yourself, you all get your own meanings from it based on the information that you have. So it says in the matter of Supreme Court versus Parliament, the Winneba Mafia, right? And I want to show you a photo of what they're trying to achieve. Maybe we can put it up.
The bit about the Gatis being pictured there is pretty.
So,
because
well, let me try and explain what the picture is should I say, insinuating, right? So there's the photo of the Chief Justice, Gertrude Tokono here.
Who is on, who is on top?
Yeah, in terms of the mafia. It's on your screen so you can see it. And then the arrow, she hails from Winneba, it's indicated here. And then the arrow points to Apenyo Makin, who is from Winneba.
Winneba, sure.
And lawyer to Jogate.
From Winneba.
From Winneba. And Jogate's wife is Efua Gate, current GBA president, Ghana Bar Association president, and she's friends with the Chief Justice. What are you trying to tell us this morning?
Are they saying something?
Are they?
I don't know what they're saying.
I don't know either, but I mean, grab a copy for yourself and let's get into it. Gentlemen, I think with that, let me start getting into the papers. I will start with the New Republic. That's where we got this interesting photo. And there's no story to it. It's just a picture. It also has how NPP fed SHS students with contaminated rice. Yeah, that story. Very...
That's a good...
I don't know the adjective to use for it. Bakavomawa calls for judicial reforms, denounces Chief Justice systemic abuse and turnout in force for NDC victory. Professor Opoku Ajiman tells Volta region. When you go in, there are a lot of stories in here, but I want to pick just 3 quickly and then we get into it. John Mahama leads among cross-party supporters and floating voters. Global Info Analytics says Western region shifts signals challenge for NPP in December polls. NDC raises concern over polling station realignment. Of course, it's a politically charged climate. It's 23 days to elections, so I'm sure most of the papers are carrying political stories. NDC mounts pressure on EC. Let me see what this story is actually about. So as Ghana approaches the 2024 general elections, the role of the Electoral Commission becomes central in ensuring a credible and transparent electoral process. Transparency from the EC is essential for fostering public trust, affirming the legitimacy of electoral outcomes and maintaining social and political stability. However, any lack of transparency can lead to uncertainty. I want to get to what the story really is. So according to Dr. Edward Omanibuama, the NDC's Director for Elections and IT, he's criticized the Electoral Commission for creating uncertainty around the 2024 presidential and parliamentary elections. He noted that the EC's omission of essential voter data compromises the transparency and credibility of the upcoming elections. Let me do 2 more stories quickly. Franklin Kujo challenges Baumia on Mahama's, quote, West economic record claim. The founding president and CEO of Imani Africa Center for Policy and Education has issued a sharp rebuttal to recent remarks attributed to Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, who allegedly claimed that former President and National Democratic Congress flag bearer John Mahama has delivered, quote, the worst economic performance of all presidents in the Fourth Republic. I mean, let's put all this to a debate and then we can decide for ourselves who's done us better and who's, done worse. GAT and its role in the financial sector. Bakavomawa calls for judicial reforms. And CSOs raise concerns over government's plan to deploy military in border communities in the Volta region. I'm interested in this one. With just a few days to the upcoming general elections, 3 civil society organizations, that's the Democratic Credentials Network Ghana, Community Focus Foundation Ghana, and Coalition of Ghanaians Without Ghana Card, have added their voices to the call on the government to desist from deploying military personnel in border communities in the Volta region. The executive director for Community Focus Foundation Ghana, Richard Kasu, said at a press conference in Ho on Thursday, November 7, that Ghana Police Service was capable of enforcing law and order in the communities, while personnel of the Ghana Immigration Service carried out their duties of ensuring sanity along the frontier. So this is just saying that the police and immigration service are well equipped to handle issues around the border. We should not deploy military there. How NPP, this is the last story I will do, how NPP fed SHS students with contaminated rice. In a shocking display of callousness, unbridled greed and undeniable corruption, an investigative report has unveiled a harrowing scheme that has endangered the lives and health of Ghana's senior high school students. The outlandish rendition of the contaminated rice deal has been reviewed by outspoken NDC Member of Parliament Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa in a detailed episode that poses to be the mother of all scandals. And when you get into the story, it's sad that, Ghana, is it Food Authority or FDA, Food and Drugs Authority, somehow miss this. And that's what's shocking to me. But anyway, this story is for a quick reflection, Mr. Money.
Well, I think to be fair to the Food and Drugs Authority, I mean, they conduct their checks. They have their own limitations. They are one of the best in the sub-region, looking at their standards and some of what they do. But some of these things, mind you, the story says they were rebagged and all of that. Those are on the blind side of these institutions. And sometimes it's really difficult having to do this. But if this, I'm always cautious when I'm talking about these things. If this proves to be true, it is serious. This is criminal because you are merely trying to make a quick buck. And so you are compromising the lives of children just so you can make your money. Do you get it? Yeah. And anything could happen. Some people are more sensitive than others. I have a pretty sensitive stomach, so I'm very cautious about some things I take. You get it? So something that you may take and be fine, I may take it.
Different,
you must look out for people like that. There are people with allergies. Maybe if there are certain contaminants, they react. So if this proves to be true, and I'm using the, if, then it is really sad. It's really sad.
This is weird. But, Mr. Money, what do you make of it?
I think I'm inclined to side with Sir Ben. Yeah, and there's a need. MD has a record of professionalism when it comes to dealing with such matters. So they should either maintain their standard or scale it up.
Okay. All right. Any other stories? So can I quickly, so that I can, when it gets to you, I don't have any other stories. The business analyst, just to run through the headlines. On election 2024, effective fact-checking, non-negotiable GJA president is here saying that 40th Farmers' Day, Agric Minister advocates for climate resilient agric practices. Take action on climate change. President Akufo-Addo urges world leaders at COP29. Bank of Ghana inaugurates new $250 million headquarters in on November 20th. Now, I want to stay on President Akufo-Addo's call to world leaders to take action on climate change, because the question on my mind is, are we done dealing with the issues of Galamsey here in the country? This morning I was saying that I think the mere thoughts or the conversations around it grates on our leaders, especially because we are going to the polls. So everybody's pretending like, well, there's something happening, but there is nothing happening. Mr. Money.
When it comes to Galamsey, I think we are living in the opposite version of reality. Our water bodies, the quality of our water bodies, the wanton destruction of our forest cover, the recklessness with which people plunder the environment. These are all an indictment on our sense of responsibility as far as the climate change is concerned. We are inviting the worst form of climate change onto ourselves, and this generation will stand condemned at the bar of history for doing practical nothing, even worsening the present situation. Galamsey is a lost cause. There's no comms. It's a lost cause. There's no comms about that. We've lost the battle against Galamsey. It is true. We're told that we're going to enhance the fight against Galamsey, but the opposite is the reality. When the last time we heard about the military men who were deployed to combat Galamsey, they started by burning a number of champagnes.
Three of them.
Yeah.
Three also.
And this reminds me of the case against our leading journalist in Ghana, Erastus, who was molested, and the case is in court. But there's a need for the authorities to fast-track the prosecution of
so some of them have been granted bail, 5 are at large. We brought the reports this morning. I think about 6 of them were granted bail, as said yesterday, and 5 of them are still at large. So that's the latest update we have on that assault of our journalists.
But you see, it also paints a certain picture, because it took some of us making a lot of noise and talking about it time and again. If we hadn't, my question, if we hadn't spoken about it as much as we had, is it because we kept talking about it that some action had to be brought to bear? And it doesn't stop there. What will happen to these people? Because sometimes there are arrests, and before long, you hear nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing about the situation. I don't want to cite other incidents, but I'm just saying, sometimes there are these arrests, and, oh, yes, we've arrested, and then you ask yourself, okay, 6 months down the line, what happened in that case?
Multimedia has been doing well by amplifying the need to take action as far as this case is concerned, but I'm utterly disappointed by the lack of support from other media houses. This is a time for us to join forces to fight frontally this issue of Galamsey and the impunity with which it is done, and the lack of action from officialdom. So this is an issue we need to come together. The Media Coalition Against Galamsey, Ashibe,
Dr. Kenashi.
Yeah, he's just phenomenal, and he needs all the support. And he alone cannot, he said that one finger cannot wash the face. It's a Malian proverb. So there's a need for all the fingers to come together to confront this threat called Galamsey.
And if I may just add briefly to what you said, re-echo your words. I am personally disappointed as well, because this attack, you see, when in Yendi, that City FM, City TV journalist, we all spoke about it when Caleb Kuda and Zoe Abu Beido. Maybe I'm mentioning from one media entity, Omni, but I'm just saying that in these instances, some of us spoke time and again about them because we felt, no, it's not some journalist from some entity. It's all of us. When the radio, I think, Adan issue happened, it shouldn't be the case of
No, not at all.
You get it. But indeed, I get disappointed sometimes because what some of us put into these incidents. When Caleb, I met Caleb, I've met him a few times after that incident, and we had a good laugh over some of, these things. So when that support doesn't come, it's their problem, then it becomes a major problem, because someday it will be you and your entity.
Exactly.
And do you expect other people to, bring it to the fore? That's my problem. I think that's a major problem in Ghana.
It is a major problem, because an attack against one journalist is an attack against all journalists. And an attack against all journalists is an attack against democracy, which is the very soul of this nation. So
problem somewhere is a problem everywhere.
Everywhere.
But anyway.
So all of us are bleeding profusely from the attacks against Russell and his colleagues. So there's a need for us to come together to force officialdom to stanch the blood flow.
But while I'm done with this, it just occurred to me, sweetie, part of why sometimes these things also happen? I feel like in an instance like this, not just the broadcast media, so not just radio, not just TV, but even the print media, media should get on board. But it just hit me. You know why sometimes these things, it's not that people don't know they shouldn't get on board. You know why they act like that? Because of the politics and the ownership of media entities.
Yeah, I know.
Think about it. Anyway, please go ahead with your paper.
Let's get into your paper.
So, Daily Guide lists with Baumia meeting Catholic bishops, and the story says the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamadou Baumia, met with Ghana Catholic Bishops Conference yesterday at the Pope John Paul Formation Center at Ofuansi Kokobin in the Ashanti region. The meeting, led by the conference president, Most Reverend Dr. Matthew Kwesi Jemfi, focused on pressing national issues, including the upcoming December 7 polls and the moral fiber of the Ghanaian society. We also have a story, the news conference by the MPP yesterday, which was addressed by the Director of Communications. Thank God he's back and then firing on all cylinders, Richard Ahiagba. And he says NPP has workable policies, unlike their counterpart NDC, which is dwelling on criticism, to quote him. And second Africa Tobacco Control Conference opens in Accra. And we also have this important story. Juraman declares support for VIP. The other day we spoke about the spree with which chiefs are endorsing presidential candidates. I believe this violates the Constitution, which bars chiefs from taking active part in partisan politics. But who cares? They know why they are doing that. And December 7 will either vindicate or hold them responsible for what they did. And there's this story which is worth, LGBTQ will destroy Ghana. Baumia is quoted as saying that the LGBTQ, if legalized, will have severe consequences for this nation. He's in the Ashanti region, and according to him, the LGBTQ plus will never see the light of day if he is elected president. And there's a lecture by Galamsey threatens food security, which we've touched on. And let me touch on the bereavement of the General Secretary of Assemblies of God, my church, Reverend Stephen Wingham. He's lost their mother. And, yeah, and church leaders, and the other day it was the turn of the flag bearer of MPP, the running mate of the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Matthew Boko Prempeh. Yeah. And he says, former President Mahama to commiserate with him. We are joined by the Bible to mourn with those who born. So we are mourning with Stephen Wingham on the loss of his mother, and he happens to be the only child of the mother. So we can imagine the magnitude of the loss. Yeah. So Steve, take heart. The Lord is your refuge and strength at this trying moment.
Question on my mind this morning is, are we really going to the December 7th polls without a presidential debate, Mr. Money? NPP starting that they have the best policies. NDC say they have the best policies. Dr. Mahmoud Baumia is saying if he's elected president, then he can fix LGBTQ. So let's just put them all on the platform. Tell us what it is. Give us the opportunity to probe and ask you questions all at the same time and answer it. Are we really, Ghanaians, are we really going into the polls without a presidential debate?
We've gone to the polls on several times without a presidential debate. And
isn't it very crucial for this time, where we have a vice president?
We can collectively decide to make it crucial, make it a culture of a presidential system. So that you know that once you put yourself forward to be elected as president, you'll be subjected to such scrutiny. But there's nothing binding the candidates to take part in a debate. And so, again, it's a lost cause. MPP has been pushing for this debate. But I'm inclined to believe that there's a limit to which you should push for this debate. Otherwise, it creates the impression that they need it more than Mahama does. And Mahama is also taking advantage and says there's only because they are not on the same scale, to quote him. He and Baumia are not on the same scale. But whether they are on the same scale or not, I believe December 7th will decide.
And they also make the point that in the past, when he was asking for a debate, he was told to go and debate nurses and Kayaye. So
yeah, so
that's the instance.
I think I was just salivating for a debate, and it's sad that they're taking that away from me as a citizen, you know,
but
as a journalist, the opportunity to go ahead.
The opportunity to, sift through policies.
Yeah.
But two things actually come to mind very briefly. One, what is the real purpose of a debate? So there are some, I am salivating as well for a debate because, and I'm not saying that necessarily because I feel what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And if you felt back then twice, your boss and now, you felt there was no need for a debate, the person had to go and debate ordinary Ghanaians, and he tells you saying, I don't feel it is unfair. But some of these people who put themselves up for president, when I look at them, it would have been good because I feel that is where Ghanaians would have realized that some of them actually, I'm sorry to say this, should not be on the ticket.
So, yeah,
it would have exposed some people, clearly.
America, which is...
It would have been so bad. Because some of those people, and I keep saying it, they come here and you interview them, and you know how the Bible talks about weighing and wheat and chaff, and it's unfortunate, but we have a system where everybody is allowed in some way, so that's fine. The other bit, though, Sweetie, would debates do us that much good? If you look at the manifestos over time, and even the policy breakdowns from Imani, and the fact that a lot of these proposals from the NDC and from the MPP, if you put them down to breakdowns, how much it would cost, what likely are the logistics and all of that, some of them, quite a number of them, don't add up. They may not exactly make sense. There's no plan in terms of how they will. It's just about, we'll do this, we'll do that. How will you do it? No business runs like that. In project management, if you're saying you're going to do X, there's a clear plan to how you're raising funds, how you're executing the project, where the funds are coming from, at what time the project is estimated to. They don't have these things. And even where they put bits and pieces of them, we've seen over time how deceitful they have been. So in the end, I'll even ask myself, okay, I am all for debates, right? I am someone who likes to debate ideas. But in the end, would it serve our purpose? They will come and tell us things without proper breakdowns. And you may even get the wrong person convincing you because they are able to articulate. But the reality is the plan may be a hollow plan with nothing to show.
I totally agree with you. But my argument is also that these two, I mean, I'm talking about the two major political parties, NDC and NPP. We've seen Bawumia, we've seen Mahama before. They're all asking for a comeback. In the capacity of vice president, you have been in office. Capacity as former president, you have been in office. And they've all sort of left their manifestos, and on their campaign trail, they're making new promises every single day. Okay, so the debate gives us the opportunity.
Their mind.
Yes, every single day. Recently, was it yesterday or so? I heard Mahama talk about a new national cathedral. I heard Bawumia talk about solar something. They've deviated from their manifestos, and depending on where they find themselves, they make promises that they think the people want to hear to give them that mandate come 7 December. I think that a debate just puts them on the same platform. Let's ask, at least if they're giving us hollow responses, beg your pardon, we know who is, we as journalists, we have the facts. Then we can say, Mr. Incoming or wanna-be president, what you're saying is not right. At least we can weigh, like Ben said, each of them's strength. What wavelength are they operating on? I think it just gives us the chance to get into it and to dissect whatever promises, however hollow they may be.
But Sweetie, in the absence of
under the
debate,
impression that
the absence of debate, I think the media also have a responsibility to subject the various manifestos to absolute scrutiny. See how workable they are. It's normal around this time for candidates to drench the public and the supporters with a margin of platitudes. So ours is to insulate the public, insulate the voters from drinking, such platitudes, so that they will make informed choices, informed and intelligent choices at the polls. Because we have democracy to build upon. The democracy should not be static. None of us is happy with the state of democracy. Our democratic balance sheet is awful, to say the very least. And when it comes to even the peace index, we are declining. So there's a need for us to ensure that people who occupy positions of power have the necessary character and competence to occupy such positions. And it's the duty of the media to do just that.
I must say that we are doing justice in our own way. I know that PM Express has manifesto tracker every Tuesday where they actually get into, they pick one sector, they get into it, ask the questions to the people who matter. So I can speak
other
for Joy
houses should
and
replicate
say that we are,
what you are doing. But other media houses are just replicating, amplifying what politicians are saying without subjecting such pronouncements into scrutiny. So this is what we should do.
I was going to say that you are under the impression that once there's a debate, people will analyze it, all of us, on a certain wavelength. You have a few people do that. The masses will still drink from the pool, from the fountain of propaganda. And I don't. And as a student of politics, if you asked me whether now, because the truth, the reality is that a debate would favor the MPP's candidate more. Why? Because they are suffering more from the effects of incumbency in this sense. After 4 years, you benefit from incumbency. After 8 years, you suffer from incumbency and everything that has been done. It's not about the vice president being able to beat Mahama or Mahama being able to perform better than. It's about who stands to gain more. Politically, if you look at it, the MPP stands to gain more, which makes sense as part of their strategy to push. And it also makes sense. If I were in Mahama's shoes, which is what he's doing, I wouldn't have debated because it is not in my political interest. That is why I think people didn't understand when he said he wasn't on the same level. I don't think it was to denigrate the vice president, no, because these are two very smart people. But I felt it was more of, in terms of benefit, you're not on my level because if I do this, you are benefiting more from this. So I would leave it at that point.
I hold a contrary view. I think Mama is rather in a position to benefit more from the debate because
you have all the attitude, all the loopholes that the government,
yes, the loopholes, you can punch. The mismatch between policy and implementation,
right?
You know, and all that.
You may not understand me, but maybe later when we have more time, I'll explain better on that. But let me just go very quickly with the Daily Graphic newspaper. 2 modern markets inaugurated in Techiman and Nkranza. Local government minister urges good maintenance. Public split over Parliament impasse. Majority rates legislature poor. Others rate average good. That's according to a poll by the Graphic. Border security experts seek effective measures for sub-region. Petroleum hub project will create job opportunities. That's according to the project boss. On the back page, Latter-day Saints transform healthcare delivery in Kolebu and UG hospitals. And GRA certifies 9 companies to enhance revenue mobilization. So, from the back page, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has donated medical and non-medical items towards diabetes management and sponsored the renovation of a health facility, all at a cost of $510,000, approximately 8.31 million Ghana cedis. The church donated more than $200,000 worth of modern medical and non-medical equipment to the National Diabetes Management and Research Center of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital and $310,000 worth of items and carried out the renovation of the obstetrics and gynecology block of the University of Ghana Hospital. I had to mention this because this is something very positive. Diabetes is one of those health issues that has become predominant. And you know, from diabetes and other things, you may end up, for example, with kidney-related issues, which we have seen also come, push on our medical system. Recently, we highlighted the case of, I think it's Rosemond, a 13-year-old. Thankfully, help has come to her. I know of a 6-year-old with leukemia, cancer of the blood, who is also trying to get. So there are so many of these issues, and I think it's a good thing. But if you look at the poll by the Graphic, those who look at the performance of Parliament, those who say it's good, 26.65%. Those who say it's bad or poor, 40.39%. And those who say it's average, 32.96%. That paints a pretty interesting picture about what people think about the performance.
And Ben, I think we should sprinkle a good as recommendation on Graphic, led by this editor for their self-initiated stories on critical issues. This is a very important story. Assessing how people see our present parliament. They have an image to protect. Instead, the image is everything. Once the image is punctured, once your image is dented, then it will have very serious effects on you. So Parliament, people are watching. History is watching. This is the time for you to shape up and wake up in response to the demands and expectations of the people.
I'm not getting into this story, but of course we salute government and the work they've done. The Nanabana market in Techiman and the Nkranza new market are up and running, so to speak. The local government minister is urging good maintenance. So that is that. I would like to wish my mother, Susie Akako, a very happy anniversary.
Sweet
death laid its icy hands on Benjamin Akako Sr. many years ago, but today would have been your wedding anniversary. And I know you weren't expecting this, but happy wedding anniversary to you. Well, that's how we're going to cap it off as far as the news review is concerned.
But I also want to send out, this is coming from our producer, Kingsley, Mr. Otu. A special happy birthday to a special, beautiful and cheerful lady, Francisca Encho, of Corruption Watch, CDD Ghana. May God continue to bless and guide you in your difficult line of duty. From Kofi Encho, Kwete Nate, and the Popas. Happy birthday to you, Madam Francisca Encho. And that's how we're wrapping up for the news review segment. Our guests to join us in lilac or lavender.
So I actually checked.
Yeah.
It's more lavender.
Okay. Dr. Money in lavender, former GGA president. It's always a pleasure when you join us for breakfast.
Thank you so much for the compliment.
All right. Please stay for sports coming up next on the